Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 119 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So big things can happen when you go away, when you plan a trip. You want to make the most of it. And if you've ever gone away and you've come back with a fresh perspective, new relationships, or decisions that you've made, you know the power of a trip. It can change your life. So today's podcast is on what makes a trip life-changing and how to create experiences that you will remember for the rest of your life. So much of our lives are created by the decisions we make, yet we are often running so fast in our lives, doing the things we have to do, that we don't stop and think about what would we do if we didn't have to do all these things? What if you didn't have to do the work the way you're doing it today? What if you didn't have the routines you had? What would you do and why? Our time is so precious. We want to make the most of it. And trips give us an opportunity to think about how we want to spend our time. We've also seen that without the time to restore and recharge ourselves, we burn out. Think about the vacations you've taken where you've worked the whole time or have been distracted thinking about work. It's not that you didn't experience any benefits from that trip, but you know that you didn't come back ready to go and energized. You likely came back exhausted and feeling like it's not a good idea for you to go away. So I've gone back through time thinking about life-changing experiences I've had on trips, the retreats I've led and experienced, and I've realized that there are differences between trips I've taken where I didn't come away with a different perspective or a life-changing experience and the ones where I did. The first life-changing experience I had was when I traveled to the Caribbean on a cruise with my family. I know it sounds like an unlikely place to have a life-changing experience, but the reason it was important to me was because it was the first time I became excited about a trip before I went on it. I read about the islands, I looked at brochures, I did all of those things that give you ideas of what's possible. I dreamt about the beaches and living on a boat and how new all of these experiences were for me. And it cemented my love of travel and finding joy in discovering new things. And this is when I was in high school. And so trips can often be a place where we just go on autopilot, though. And we do all the things everyone else does when they go to these places. They take the tours, sit on the beach, eat at a restaurant, see the sights, and there's nothing wrong with that. But without an intention for why you want to do these things, you'll often leave without feeling like you were really present. You'll see lots, but not experience them deeply. And similar to the Caribbean trip, it doesn't have to be that you do something highly unusual or unique. But what do you want to experience? And I knew for a fact that I wanted to experience the exact thing I was going to experience, being on a boat, trying lots of different activities, going to new places I've never been. And when we can align our intentions with the likelihood of experiencing that on a trip, it is a recipe for success. And if you have an intention to connect with your high school friends, for example, when you're on a trip with your family, that's not a recipe for success. If you're looking to disconnect and you're going on a trip where you haven't made any time to be in nature or be by yourself, you'll have a hard time achieving that goal. I've also had life-changing business trips where I've set an intention to make certain decisions in my business or career. Decisions that involved how I want to transition into new identities like motherhood or leadership. Decisions that involve where I want to focus my time and energy over the next 6 months or year. Decisions around what I want to create, how do I want to pivot, and what I want to embody. And if you're at a loss for intentions, I will give you a few that you can try. And you can think for yourself, perhaps some of these might resonate with you. So the first one is making a decision about your life or your work, something that you've been pondering, right? So finally making a decision. The next one is living your life the way your future or highest self would, right? So oftentimes we are creating this new sense of what we want to do next in our life, but we look around and nothing in our life looks like it at all. So when you go away, when you do something completely different, you have the opportunity to live your life the way your future self, your highest self could. And so it could be a good opportunity to try new things, talk to people differently, live differently, choose different things, eat differently, speak, dress, all of the things. Okay. The next one is connecting with a partner or family member or friends. So you can have some relationship type of intentions about a trip. Maybe it's just being present with the person, enjoying their company, not judging them, right, for the way they are, and just being with someone in a different way than you have been in the past. Another intention that you can have is to try a new activity or a hobby. So maybe there are some things that you have on your bucket list, things that you've always been interested in, but you've never done before, something you want to start to try, right? A new experience that you want to have for yourself, going away, finding a place where this thing is the norm, or finding a place where you can find lots of people doing this thing is another way for you to experience it. Another intention you can have is to actually learn a new skill. So perhaps you want to learn how to teach something. Perhaps you want to learn how to do something for yourself. Maybe there's a certification you want to learn or a training you want to take. Learning a new skill in a different place can sometimes be that unlock for you to say, okay, I'm creating time and space for this thing that I'm interested in doing, and I'm going to learn this new skill, and I'm going to gain some new competencies. Another intention is to find joy in small things. This one does not seem so obvious, but at the same time, it is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself, especially when you travel. To find joy in very minute and simple things is one of the foundational pieces of having a very rich and abundant life. When your life is just filled with joy everywhere you look, you will feel incredibly grateful for the life you have. You'll feel so appreciative of everything. And this is a skill. So, to be able to have an intention of finding joy in simple things means that when you're away, you're on a trip, that you are just relishing in the person in front of you, you're relishing in the details, the design. I went on a trip recently with my mom and her cousin, and they loved things that I could not have thought to love, which just is another thing for me to add to the list. One of them, for example, was we went to this fish market, which most people would think isn't so great, but we went to buy fish from this local store, and it was actually very nice and clean and all of those things, but it wasn't the experience my mom was looking for. So while she appreciated that we went to this fish market, it was not the fish market. So we went on a hunt to find the fish market that was smelly. I mean, not too smelly, but you know, the smell of fish that was a little bit more gritty and real. And she was like, you know, where the locals go, where other people go. So we found this fish market. This is in Costa Rica, and she was in heaven. And it was like there were vultures around on some days, and she thought that was amazing. She found these fruit trees near there. It was just like, what kind of fish do they have? She wanted to go every single day. It was amazing. And it just shows you that maybe you don't find joy in something, but you can find joy in other things that you've never thought about before, maybe because someone else finds joy in them. So just looking and finding joy is one of the best and most fun intentions you can have on a trip. Another life changing intention is to live in nature. So much of our lives revolve around technology, revolve around controlling things and making things happen in a certain way. Yet, paradoxically, when we are most in flow and in line and feeling good is when we most live in alignment with nature, seasons, with the acceptance of change and the acknowledgement that there is death and there is a rebirth cycle and there is beauty and there is gory and there is all of the mix of in between in a whole life. And so many of our life changing moments can come from when we spend a lot more time in nature, and it allows us to change the way that we live. You end up sleeping differently, you end up maybe even breathing differently, and your health suddenly changes. You'll drop weight that you might have had trouble dropping, or perhaps you'll heal parts of your body and yourself that have had trouble healing. And so much of it comes back to nature, the energy that is around you, and just allowing yourself to be more surrounded by a different kind of recalibration of energy than you might have had in the past. So that is a intention living in nature that I think could be very powerful if you're looking to change your life. All right, another one is meditating more deeply or consistently. So sometimes going away allows us the opportunity to have these larger expanses of time, to play with longer meditations, to sit and just be with experiences for longer periods of time. So this is very important if you are looking to deepen any kind of practice. Meditation is one thing, but imagine you had any other kind of skill that you were learning or building, just spending more time doing it more consistently, doing it more deeply, will allow you to start to achieve different kinds of experiences, will round out your knowledge and your own knowing of what it feels like to be in an activity and in a meditation, for example, for a longer period of time. You experience different things, and it's things that you cannot just know through conceptual knowledge, but you have to experience it for yourself to know through a different kind of embodied knowledge. Okay, the next one is to deepen your intuitive abilities. That's a great intention to have. That's one of the intentions that I've had on this last trip, and it was a very powerful one for me. And what you can do in those times is obviously you have an intention to do it, but there's many ways to think about how do I do it too. And so allowing yourself to deepen an ability that you know is a strength of yours or ability that you're curious about, starting to think about what else you would want to try, how do you want to think about it, what do you want to notice, how do you want to maybe even track or journal or be able to document your process and the way you're doing things is another kind of intention for you to create a different way of living. All right, another intention is to eat healthy or add certain foods to your diet. So, changing the way that we fuel ourselves can be a great way to change our life. So many times we'll go to a different environment and we'll realize people eat differently, they move differently, and sometimes the ways that they are eating can be more natural or healthy, or perhaps just add a certain thing to your repertoire in terms of ways to fuel yourself, things that you find pleasurable, or things that you also find um, just interesting and new and different. So every time I've gone away, usually I come back with new ideas of ways to cook and create things from different ingredients. And you also have an appreciation of where food comes from. Often, if we go to a place where that food is naturally abundant, you start to have a different sense and appreciation for, wow, this is the land where this kind of thing grows. You learn more about the ingredient, the nutritional profile, what it takes, how long it takes to create the food that we're constantly eating. And then we create a different appreciation of the food that we eat, right? And that adds to our ability to eat more healthily, more with a sense of wholeness and not with a sense of just pleasure or just trying to fuel ourselves, but with this mix of being appreciative, attached to understanding what the food source is, but also being more knowledgeable, frankly, sometimes about the kind of food that we eat. All right, the next one is to create a new routine. This is a great intention to have. Sometimes when we're away from the way that we do things, we can say, this is the time that I want to add a meditation practice in, or this is the time that I want to start working on having a morning routine or an evening routine, or maybe I do this thing in the afternoon. Again, you might go to different cultures and places where you start to see other people with different kinds of routines, and it gives you some ideas for the ways that you want to live that could be different than the ways that you're currently living. Another intention could be to learn more about yourself. Again, when we're running through life so fast, just checking things off the to do list, event after event, plan after plan, we don't always take stock to bring a level of awareness to who we are and how we live. And coaching helps a lot with that because with the frequency of coaching, you begin to build greater self awareness. What frustrates you, what bothers you in the world, what you love in the world, what energizes you, and what excites you as well. But also going away and being kind of deeply immersed in your own life and your own experiences and the way that you do things and the way you like to do things and all these new experiences kind of coming at you and hitting up against all the stuff that you've got inside of you can bring a different level of awareness to, oh yeah, I have a thing about, a person who does this, or I have a thing about staying in places like this, or I have a thing about not doing things the way I want when I want to do them. Does this resonate? And it might with some of you. All right. Another intention is to be around people who can help you develop and grow. So this is about perhaps cultivating a community or just knowing that when you put yourself in the presence and in proximity with people who uplift you, people who might think differently but in a way that you desire, people who can help you grow and develop, you'll see yourself change at a speed that is vastly different than if you were just doing this by yourself. And so I encourage you to think about places, people, opportunities where you can have a network or a community or be around people who are the quality and the type of people that you would love to be in contact with on a daily basis. And sometimes we don't have that in our own lives immediately, but we could go somewhere, we can even pay to be a part of experiences or even just engage ourselves in the types of experiences that the people you would like to be around, the people perhaps that are most like your highest or future self, would be participating in and doing. And this is about kind of sometimes a sense of changing our identity and elevating our experiences to match this identity that we now want to have. All right, and then the last one that is also very important in terms of intention could be to just be more present. So, this level of awareness about what are we thinking, what are we doing, what are we feeling, how am I moving into the next moment of my day and my life is a skill. And sometimes when we are in our daily life, we don't take the time to think about why am I doing this thing that I'm doing? How am I doing it? But when we're away, so much changes around us that we have to intentionally think, how do I get to this next place? How do I find this person? How do I get to this restaurant? How do I navigate this transportation system? How do I speak to people? So our brain revolves away from that kind of closed loop circle of the defaults that you have in the daily routines and things that you might normally be doing. And it shifts into a new level of presence. So I've noticed that whenever I go away for a longer period of time, especially if I go somewhere that it's new or different, I'm much more present while I'm there and when I return. Multitasking reduces, the ability to focus increases, the ability to let go of things that bother you or be highly aware of what bothers you increases as well. And the ability to make decisions quicker is what also drops away as well. So, the ability to be more present is an intention that you can have for yourself if you want to take a life changing trip. All right, so that's, I gave you a lot of examples. You have something in that list somewhere that you can go with, and if you don't know where to start, then go with the thing that sounded exciting or energizing or inspiring to you. Okay, so one of the challenges, and the biggest challenges out of all of these, is that we have so many expectations of our trip. And if we have that many expectations of our trip, we will inevitably be let down. So I gave you some ideas of all these intentions, and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this. And especially if you're like, I'm pouring money and time and resources into a trip, you want it to be fruitful. And so this is why setting an intention matters. That intention will guide you to see life through the viewpoint of what it is you're trying to learn or experience. It helps kind of move things towards you that will allow you to grow in these areas. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to just release control. Release control of what exactly has to happen in order for you to experience this. It allows room for what will truly change your life, which is the aha moments. And those don't come when you're forcing yourself to try to connect, try to experience things, try to enjoy. They come when you create the conditions that allow you to experience the unexpected. So, what is going to make it inevitable that you achieve your intention? That's what you want to focus your attention on. You want to create the conditions for all of that unexpected amazingness to occur. For example, if I'm looking to deepen my relationship with someone on a trip, what would make it inevitable is for me to spend time with them, for me not to judge them and to not judge myself while I'm with them, to let each other be, to connect from a place of understanding. Maybe you just plan activities where you spend time with each other. These are examples of creating the conditions for the unexpected to occur. You're not going to say, in this date, we will have the best time and I will get to know you to a whole different degree. Versus, I'm going to plan a date, I'm going to plan a time for us to do something new or fun or different. And in that, we'll learn more about ourselves. And that kind of openness just allows for whatever to occur. You learn something, right? It's not that you're going to create this deep, intimate connection, but what creates intimacy, what creates connection is the things that you're setting up the conditions for, right? It's a sense of trust. Maybe you do an activity where you're going to be close to each other or you're going to have rely on each other. Maybe you have an activity where you are connecting, right? And you're opening or you're sharing something or you're learning something new about someone. And so this is again is the conditions versus you must connect with me in this moment, and that creates that kind of forcing energy. So the same thing goes, I'm going to give you another example, like if you're learning a new skill, right? Perhaps you sign up for a course or a training or a retreat and it allows you to experience something new in a structured way. This is creating the conditions. You pick a few structured things, but then you allow the rest to just unfold the way life will allow it to unfold. Allow the unpredictability to be what creates the learning, the growth, or the depth of experience. It's often when we fail or something doesn't go our way that we learn the most about ourselves or other people. I remember the times when we got caught in a storm, or the times when someone was sick, or things didn't go the way we planned. I remember those moments, and I bet you do too, more so than the things that went exactly as planned. If you allow room for the unexpected, then you'll also be creating space for new ideas and for new experiences to occur. So, a reminder, right, that if you want a highly predictable trip, a boring trip, You likely wouldn't be learning about how to take life-changing trips, which is what this podcast is all about. So, what happens after the trip? So, after the trip, it also helps to start thinking about what you didn't do and what you would do differently. It helps for you to think about what you've learned. Our brain tends to like to move on to the next thing and the next trip or the work you have to do when you return. So we have to purposefully pause and purposefully ask ourselves, what happened? And perhaps you do this on your flight home. Perhaps you do this the day after you get back. You might even be journaling as you are on your trip. It's never too late to capture your insights, the wisdom that you're experiencing, your growth. When you start to see that the intentions you've set for yourself are realized, or how perhaps the intentions even shifted for you on the trip, you begin to craft your own formula for life changing trips. What's your recipe? What would you do differently next time? What did you love about your trip? And so all these experiences are so rich if we only stop to collect and look and mine them for our growth. We often think we don't know the answers or we're not sure what happened when that's not true. We just haven't paused to ask ourselves why. Why did we go on this trip? Why was this journey important for us to take? Why did we travel? Who do we travel with when we're with others? With ourselves? What kind of person are we when we travel? What did it feel like to be more present? So many of our trips are often these bucket list activities or experiences, right? You think, okay, where do I want to go next? And you're like, I've got a list. These are all things I want to go and try and do. And they are the things you've dreamed of doing for a long time, and then you're finally doing it. So enjoy yourself. Revel in the fact that something you've desired or dreamt about is occurring. Slow things down. Say to yourself, I'm doing it. And instead of thinking about it, just be in the experience. Use all of your senses, know what it feels like with your taste, touch, sound, smell, all of it. What does it feel like to be in this experience right here and right now? And you might have thoughts like, oh, I should be working, or it's not safe to have this much fun, or this is too self indulgent. It's natural, right? If you've thought of life as a series of to dos, it's very natural that enjoying oneself is considered indulgent or inappropriate. Yet enjoyment doesn't have to be because of any real reason. You can enjoy breathing. You can enjoy listening to someone speak. You can enjoy feeling the sun on your face. You can enjoy eating mindfully. You can even enjoy working. And notice if you believe time away is this guilty pleasure that has no benefits for anyone or takes you away from what you need to actually be doing in your life. Yet, the one thing you need in order to be better at life is likely to get your mind, body, and soul aligned. Organizing your brain so that it remembers what's most important comes from taking a moment to pause and reflect. Allowing your body to function at its best comes from taking a moment to attend to its needs. Figuring out what is good for your soul comes from noticing what feels energizing. Burnout and overwhelm often come at the expense of our goals and dreams. If you cannot take a moment to get your mind and your body and soul in order, you will take many, many moments to clean up the mess and the unnecessary mistakes we make when we are overwhelmed and burned out. The space that you create to change your work and your life will actually create better and faster results while having more enjoyment in the process. And this is why I'm such an advocate for taking a moment in your day to pause and be still. In your day, one day. And expand that 1,000 times. And this is what happens when you take greater time away from your daily life and you create a powerful intention with a structure that supports that intention. Your life changes without even you having to do as much heavy lifting as you've done in the past. And this is why I offer virtual and in-person retreats. I've seen time and time again that we need to be in a new concept or a new idea for a longer period of time than our daily life allows for us to truly embody that next version of us. When we feel like the clarity we seek or the thing we desire is not coming fast enough, it's often because we haven't paused to absorb the changes that have already transpired. We haven't fully felt where we already are with the big changes we've had, like a birth or deaths or new jobs, locations, or responsibilities. And when you haven't felt and processed these changes, it's as if the universe is waiting for you to catch up before it gives you more to handle. So, trips, retreats, and these kinds of intentional experiences are a portal that allows you to step into that next place you desire more effortlessly than when you are reliving the same routines and patterns of your daily life. And by removing the constructs of what your current life looks like, you end up having to create new constructs and new experiences. Your choice is going to be this very important thought process. Do I want to create exactly what I've already experienced? Or do I want to let life unfold and create new ones for me? So this is it. This is the work. And I love doing this with my clients and leading and creating these epic journeys and experiences that allow them to see a new sense of purpose unfold. They have new wisdom that comes through and they make big decisions about their lives. And we take the unclear and make them more clear, whether it's the business decision you need to make, or it's being even more of a leader in your life, or fully owning what your version of a best life looks like. A life that is full of relationships, or full careers, and full experiences. So, the coaching program I have designed includes access to the Spiritual Achiever Retreat, where you will learn how to use energy and meditation techniques and decision making methodologies to develop your own intuition. And you can sign up for a consultation at mayemson.com/contact to learn more. This is it, my friends, for this week. Have an amazing one, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.